does social justice philanthropy mean for you? What is it and what is it not? Because it tells us that, the way in which philanthropy has operated to date, and the reason why we are talking about social justice philanthropy is because it's really just been about little drips and drabs just to keep things going. Yes, let's address that, but not meaningfully, not in the long term. And the reason why we are talking about social justice philanthropy is because the way in which philanthropy has been done is deeply problematic and is not working. I think you all know what that is, and I'm not here to teach you or lecture you, but to remind you that it is about addressing poverty and inequality meaningfully and addressing the inequitable allocation of resources and access to power in our society.
Hello everyone. My name is Kaine Disepo. I'm your neighbor from Botswana. So I think overall, let me just look at this side. I was just trying to reflect on what my organization is doing. So I run a social enterprise that actually looks at thought leadership development, particularly amongst young people. And the onus is that we need to amplify voices of young people where it actually matters most. And as opposed to just advocating for them to be included in decision-making processes, we can go in so far as actually capacitating them and actually being intentional in co-creating safe spaces where they can meaningfully engage. Now, what I was trying to contemplate is that an explicit mention of a systemic change, or is that recognizing that there's a small part to play which eventually, through sustainable development impact, they then, as agents of change, are then resulting in the overall systemic change?
I'm Eugene. I come from Rwanda. I want to link resilience, power building, with values, leadership, and governance. More often we see donors minding about numbers, not the impact. And when you drive towards the impact, which builds resilience, it's not their goal. I also want to highlight the way they impose themselves in areas where they want to be that might not be the need of the people. I want to give an example of our country, where donors used to be, one donor could be in about 10 sectors. But being in so many sectors, actually you are causing problems because there are some overlaps in the donor work. So what our country did is the donor division of labor. Said you can't be in more than 3 sectors. If you want to be in more than that, do it elsewhere, not here. 2, this business of saying we are looking at numbers, not the impact generated by the numbers. Here we are saying if the felt needs of our people are not met and you're just working on your own plan, you are evaluated. This evaluation counts against these donors and their checks and balances. So what our role here should be is how do we ensure that what we are discussing here is also translated on how we participate in these issues on the ground. Thank you very much.
I'm Rose. I'm coming from AD International. I have a feeling that wherever the work that we are co-creating with our communities, especially the communities of persons with disabilities, it's really hard in terms of making sure that we take on all what is they are aspiring to do, given the challenges within the funding and all the philanthropic community to understand them. and to take everything as they are. Because most of the time you realize that our thinking and also the way programs and activity, the way they are being designed is so much different from the perspective where the persons with disabilities are coming from. So it's really a challenge. Even when you started talking about the numbers, the programs will go deeper and, will take so many elements and diverse. And while if people they are looking at the numbers, you won't have them. So it's a challenge. But again, the complexities when we are talking about women, and then you further go down to a woman with a disability with this particular type, and then if you go further down to take in someone with intellectual, someone who is blind, someone who is deaf, is complete. Even I was talking about some of the representation. If you go to a meeting, it's really easy if you are in the discussion about women. But when you are organizing a women with disability event, for example, I'm not fitting. Even if sometimes you bring a woman who is deaf, but you realize that it's not yet enough to get all the diversities. And you'll realize that if you bring a blind woman, will not be able to really articulate the things which are coming from a deaf woman. But also, where are you bringing them? If you take them at the urban area, again, you are losing. Mm-hmm. So are you taking them in peri-urban? Are you going to take them from everyone? So there is a lot, different layers, it's really difficult. And when you design a program, when you start to articulate things, it's really, really difficult. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what I could say.
Thank you.
I'm Waja and I come from Uhai Ishli. I want to speak to how Uhai Ishli works with our grantees. In terms of getting airing, whether we open up the spaces for them using the power that we have, is that we have these, I don't know whether I want to call it slogan, but we have this joke that we keep saying at the office that, so what does that mean? Is we don't stay there alone because those spaces, and then we go and air out their issues to those spaces, and that's how we sort of carry our own philanthropic advocacy.
We are so powerful. Can we say, I have power? I have power. I have power. Yes, we all have power. And this way, we continue to learn how to use it. Because if we don't use it, someone else will use it, and we become someone else's project. And we're talking about setting a motion that will give us a common voice and help us to work towards a common agenda. And here we have been referring to APN member. You know, guys, if you don't know this, APN is set to operate through regional networks. So if you are today a member of East Africa Philanthropy Network, you're automatically a member of APN. So this is our conversation. This should become our commitment to exercise our power to change the way development is done, but also to change our communities and save humanity. We are talking about the launch of a charter. I want to relate that to the work that APN is doing as a platform. Say we are providing a space for us to interrogate into the power dynamic that shape how resource distribution, how resource mobilization, distribution, and spending impact transformative work. But read the mission of East Africa Philanthropy Network. It's exactly the same. It provides us with this space, a space where we collaborate to ensure that we are together championing, connecting, and co-creating innovative solutions that advance philanthropy in the continent. How can we advance philanthropy in the continent? Philanthropy is not social justice. Philanthropy is not for us. That will not work. That will not solve humanity. We have seen how much power has a role to play in the work that we do. So we have drafted a charter from the discussion that were made by most of you will recognize your voice in the charter that will be shared. Where is that draft charter? You can get the draft, but please visit our website, you'll get that draft. Use that as a reflection document through the week. The discussions are going to be around that. We talk about transformation, we talk about systems change. And the issues we are dealing with here are systemic issues. We are not saying it's easy, but we are saying this tool is one of the tools that we are providing as a network that is looking to provide a collaborative platform. It's a collaborative platform that is looking to champion, connect, and ensure that we are co-creating. So if we don't build our own solutions, someone else will. And that is the test we have been with. We had a study done. Most of you participated. We had consultations through 2020. The study was in 2021. Consultation was in 2022 and this year. And we were able to put together what you said is what you believe as actors in this space. You need to apply as values, principles, and approaches to build just societies in the continent and to ensure that we have social justice. But all of this is linked to how grants are made. But it's not to point fingers on grant makers. So when we say grant making, it's us. How do we, what do we request for? But let's start that conversation. We should build this together. We work so much in silos. Such tools will help us to start moving together and building a common voice. There will be more platforms to discuss about these principles, values, and approaches in all different spaces. EAPN is very much committed to taking this up. That is why we are discussing this. So working together to ensure that we are transforming the power in grant making by asking or looking for the right, more and better resources from the grant makers, but also by asking grant makers to listen more to what we are asking for. It will get us there. So we are building this transformation from the top down and the bottom up approach. We look at both ends to be able to transform the system, which is so important for us to build an equal and just societies. We have a task, and I think that is a task that you have all committed to say as members of the Africa Philanthropy Network and the Africa Network, that you'll be removing the barriers that are standing in front of people so that people can drive their own development. That should become our commitment. Love you all. Wish you all the best of the evening and the meeting.